Saveara ran through the smoking streets of Gardenia. Crimson and white blood flowed in the streets. Corpses of humans, elves, orcs, and arali littered the roads. The entire scene shook her to her core as the smoke and ash reminded her of what happened at her home. The child soldiered on until she reached the orphanage basement window. She looked through the window to see not the empty moldy room, but High Mother Ethel and the robed mage Fornius. She pried open the window and held her ear to the situation. Ethel frantically stepped back, her hands up, golden eyes wide at Fornius, who gripped his scepter and glared at her with rage. You had one objective: keep S-0 contained until we came to relocate him. Yet you were utterly incompetent to do even that, he snarled. His crimson eyes glowed with his anger. Ethel clasped her hands together and fell to her knees. My Lord Fornius, please forgive me. I don't know how he escaped. I won't fail again. I swear on my 300 years of life. Fornius tapped the ground with his scepter. The stone floor under Ethel sprung into a cone that kept her standing with her head poking out. What good is your 3 centuries when it leads to us needing to scour the streets during an active invasion for our asset? She said nothing, and Fornius made stone spikes skewer Ethel through the stone cone. Her mouth widened to scream, but nothing came out as a spike cut her vocal cords. Her white blood dripped from the cone. Gurgling from her drenched lungs echoed through the basement. Tears flowed down her face as she slowly drowned in her own blood. Agartha has no need or tolerance for incompetence. Drown in your own pointless blood. The stone cone expanded over her face and formed a sealed stone casket. Fornius held his hand on the bridge of his nose and shook his head. This era doesn't have good pawns, even the centuries-old pawns are incompetent. Saveara grinned from ear to ear as she witnessed Ethel's death, but sidestepped to the left as Fornius turned to the window. Her hiding didn't work, however, as she was warped into the basement in front of Fornius. Hello, child. He kneeled down to her level, a warm smile on his face. I know you saw. Believe me, sir, you ended nothing of value. You know that which picked me up by my horn, threw me down the stairs, broke my horn on the way down, and locked the door. She expected me to starve to death if the mold didn't kill me first. If it wasn't for Morrigan, I probably would have starved. So that's the name S-0 made for himself. Your name is Saveara, correct? Yes. How old are you, Saveara? 11. Well, you should know that S-0, or Morrigan as you call him, isn't your friend or anyone's friend. Everyone he's called friend is dead, and their souls locked away inside him in a cacophony of suffering. Countless worlds are dead because of him, and he needed to be recaptured before his dread aura could cause damage. What he showed you is a mere fraction of what he's capable of. Saveara crossed her arms and gave Fornius a distrusting look. How do you know this? I am Fornius Aldian. Look at my pale skin, crimson eyes, and immense magic, and know I am an Eidolon, one of the remaining crimson-eyed makers. Saveara scoffed at the notion. Nice try, but Eidolons existed eons ago, and they aren't immortal. In fact, they go through rapid cellular and neurological decay at the age of 80. The ancient records call it the Crimson Curse. You are correct. The typical Eidolon wouldn't make it past 2 years once the curse set in, but those of us who live this long have long since averted the Crimson Curse. Fornius held out his hand, and his arcane aura flared as a prismatic sheen around his arm. A smart girl like you needs proof, so here. Saveara reached out her hand and hesitated, wondering what Fornius could be plotting, but she grabbed his hand and felt the culmination of his arcane experience. Her eyes widened as it felt like the weight of 100 million oceans was forced on her mind at once, the culmination of power and experience that can only come from an amount of time unfathomable to her. Saveara removed her hand and held her head in disbelief. Well, you are the real deal. Your power transcends. Well, I don't have anything to compare. That may be true, but I see so much potential in you, Saveara. I saw what you did to that girl when the Darkin attacked. Temporal energy is very hard to come by, especially with someone of your age. I assume that was your miracle and not a spell. Saveara went silent and thought hard about her power. It only just surfaced and knows very little about time energy, or if she can do it again. I don't think I can do it anymore. What was going through your mind when it first manifested? Fear, anger, and a deep desire for this all to be a dream, to wake up and everything is back to normal. Her orange soul energy flared in response to despair. Orange became teal flames that whipped the immediate area. Stone began to weaken, glow, and heat up. The mold became smaller and smaller until it was reversed out of existence. Roaming rodents grew smaller until they became pink mush. but Saveara caught herself and localized the energy around her hands. "Whoa," she said as she stared at her hands and the glowing lava puddles. "You're amazing, Saveara. Come with me. I'll train you further as my apprentice." Saveara darted back and held her arms around her torso as the energy dissipated. "Why do you want me as an apprentice? You seem capable of doing anything. Besides, I kinda have a good friend here." "Well, Saveara, there are some things even I can't do. My son, my pride, joy, my greatest work is perpetual like myself, but he suffered an injury that till this day hasn't healed. I believe that with training you can reverse a debilitating injury that was made centuries ago. Besides that boy you met, he shows promise as a mage. However, potential like his, potential like yours, needs to be free of distractions to be fully realized. Trust me, if I let romance distract me, I would have never reached my greatness. And when you truly care for someone, you do what's best for them even when it hurts." Saveara went silent as she pondered his words. Nelio Algrim shouldn't be dragged down by her as he grows, and she could grow immensely under Fornius' wing. She sighed in acceptance as a tear came down her face. "You're right, Fornius. You made the right choice, Saveara, and don't worry, you're going to love where we're going." Fornius waved his scepter and spoke an incantation to make a portal open in the basement. "Where are we going?" asked Fidel. He answered as he waved his hand and hoisted Ethel's stone casket in the air. "We have work to do there. You'll have to use other magic, most likely sensorium, to exist on the surface." "Why would I ever want to step foot in Virgo's holy land?" "Because we're going to slowly rot it from the inside and watch them burn. I know you have every reason to want that outcome. And as a gift to my new apprentice is Ethel's corpse. You can perform your necromancy in the labs and library of my abode. Trust me, we'll both have plenty of specimens." Saveara gazed at the floating stone column holding the elf's carcass and gave a sinister chuckle as millions of ideas raced through her mind, twisting the elf who mistreated her, avenging her slaughtered family, and her potential fully realized. She spoke an incantation and used the last of her mana to adopt a human guise. Her silky white hair became brown. Her deathly white skin was veiled in fair skin. Her ruby red eyes transformed into a dull brown. Her curved horns and tail vanished from sight. "How's this?" "Humph. Not bad, not great, but you just started, let's go." She nodded, and the two entered the